Welcome to the Flymen Fishing Show, where we talk fly fishing, fly tying, and everything in between. I'm your host, Scotty Davis.
Mr. Scotty,
How are you, sir?
how are you, man?
Good. You looking well?
Yeah, I've changed a little bit, haven't I?
Yeah. Beard looks good.
Yeah, island style, brother.
That's it.
Yeah, it's between this wonderful virus we have and being on the island. Yeah,
Nice.
just nobody's here to see me, so I'm just working at the moment.
Yeah. Are you full time in Florida now?
Not really. I've been here for a while now. I've been here since November, and it's just ready to get the place in order, the cabin. I go back and forth to Memphis, but I'm in Memphis way less now. We're pushing to get down here, so I'd say 80% of the year I'll be down here now.
Yeah. You're going to keep your place in Memphis and go back and forth?
Until we can make a plan with getting Debbie down.
Yeah.
Just her also enjoying the place. It's been a long time coming, so
Yeah.
it's been a lifelong plan, actually.
So where you're on the West Coast?
Yeah, West Coast. Obviously below Sarasota, and obviously north of Fort Myers, pretty much Port Charlotte, really.
Yeah.
It's about 10 miles to Boca from here by water. So it's a straight shot. I'm right on the intercoastal. I don't particularly, I don't think I'll be targeting Boca that much, but rather, the Mayaka and the Peace River systems. And obviously whatever we have there on the white side, on the ocean side.
Yeah. And you bought a skiff when you moved down there, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was fortunate enough, I was looking for something that could handle the water down here, and it's not really the ocean itself, it's the boats. I mean, there's a lot of big boats around here. There's most of these boats are, I'd say, average 24 foot, and so they push a lot of water around, but it's just getting through the crowd and then getting into those backwaters that seem pretty they're not as busy as what you'd have, say, at Stump Pass or at Boca itself. There's always, everybody gravitates to that as a tarpon spot, but this area is so huge. I mean, the whole of Port Charlotte, the whole of the Mayaka River, and then obviously the Peace River. There's not that many flats boats and skiffs around here, which is a good thing. That means and it also keeps the big boats out of those areas. They're just not interested in getting into those areas. Yeah. Most of the guys are meat lockers. They'll go out and hunt fish on the wide, the ocean side. And then obviously you have the tarpon run, and that's a whole another show on its own.
Yeah.
Not interested.
That's probably full.
It's scary
swing.
with a little boat between all those guys.
Oh, dude, that Boca Grande Pass, that's a nut house, man.
Yeah.
Nut house.
Yeah. It gets out of hand there, man.
Yeah.
It truly does. It's a lot of guys sit around boat ramps and look at the silliness and the nonsense that goes on there. They obviously get entertained by that. Just come to that and just sit on the beach and watch that. It's ridiculous. Tarpon jumping boats, and it's fighting, and I wouldn't be surprised if people haven't been shot out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So not interested.
No, you probably do just as well staying on the inside too.
Absolutely. To me, the inside, and right here where I live, I mean, I've got I'm very fortunate that we found a little spot right here on the intercoastal, but I've got a huge bay. I mean, you couldn't fish it properly in 4 or 5 hours. I mean, it's big. Yeah, you can start at the bottom and just work your way up on just like in an afternoon. Grab a beer and just cruise down and with a sneaker normally we'll run with a motor down at the bottom and just use the electric motor and get ourselves back up to where we are. And it's full of, what we have noticed since the time that I've been here, I haven't been able to do as much fishing as I'd like, obviously because we're working. And it's a one-man show really. I'm doing this as much as I can by myself. But we've noticed some really, the redfish, and just listening to the locals, I've met some really nice guys over here that are forthcoming with some information. The redfish are looking really good this year. There's some bigger ones coming out. The snook have always been here. There's some really big snook here, man. I've got 40-inch snook under my dock.
Dang.
Yeah, no, they're huge. I mean, they are tricky to catch with a dock, especially with a fly rod, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I just tell people I'm not even trying because, they end up breaking me up. The fly rod just doesn't have enough. It's a Clydesdale, it's going to drag. It's like a big jeet.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have, on the beach side, they're nice, because, I mean, they literally, they start coming up onto the beach now. So they leave the intercoast and they get to the beach side. And there are thousands. There are literally thousands of them on the beach here, and it's fun to get. 9-weight's good. You can walk the beach. They all swim in one direction or the other, and they're literally at your feet. You don't even have to cast, man. I've actually literally walked in the water and dropped a fly in front of one.
I've never done the beach snook. I've always wanted to. I heard when they first come out, like from the back, they're really dark, and the longer they stay on the beach, they get lighter and
correct,
lighter.
Yeah, they lighten up, and you'll see them in sizes. They seem to be, they categorize themselves in sizes. If they're smaller, there's a lot more of them, and as they generally get bigger, there's few less and less. They're in 3s and 4s, and I think it goes for a lot of fish. You see that in the peacock world. You see that in a lot of species that do that. But the nice thing about this particular beach, because it's on an island and because it's ferry, you've got to get on a ferry to get onto it. And the ferry, I can say this, I don't say with a lot of pride, but it is the most expensive ferry on the planet. There's no doubt about it. For the amount of time you spend on it, you spend no more than 4 or 5 minutes on it, and it's $55 a pop.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it keeps, it's a blessing in some way, but it hurts your pocket, when you're trying to do construction, and a double axle will set you back $250 a pop. So
and that's what you're doing. You're loading your truck up with stuff, putting it on the ferry.
Yes, exactly. So if you bring a boat over, it starts hitting you in the pocket, But like I say, it gives you that, let's just call it a breather from the mainland and all the crazy stuff that goes on the mainland, the noise, we don't have big Camaros driving around here. We've got tortoises and lizards and all running around here. So we got golf carts. That's what the guys skirt around on the island with, it's golf carts. So, well, that's what's promoted.
Yeah, so. That's cool.
So the beach is literally empty. On a 4th of July, which is normally crowded, or like this last Memorial weekend, most beaches are super crowded. I don't think I've ever seen more than 20 people on this beach, man.
Man, that's paradise.
Yeah. So and there's 13 miles of it. You got a long walk, man. There's a lot of fishing to be done, because the island really is in 3 parts. There's 3 names to the island, and that's what confuses a lot of people. But they're all, they're not separate. So the north part of the island is known as Palm Island or Night Island. It makes it even more complicated. It's got 2 names. I'm on Don Pedro, which is the center part of the island. And then you get Little Gasparilla, which is the southern part of the island, which obviously connects you to Boca Grand Pass. So it's the northern part of the pass. And obviously opposite you, obviously have Boca Grand. So there's a lot of water to cover there just for a beachgoer, and they're now moving out the intercoastal. All the snook now are starting to move out, And, once the water, I believe, gets to around 74 or so, they're all on the beaches and they start doing their cycles again, the breeding cycles. And it's a pleasure, man. And the nice thing is it's not one of those instances where you have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. You can literally have a nice breakfast, have some coffee, have a good chat about, or tile some flies for that matter, for the day, and head out at around 10 o'clock, when you can actually get a good visual on the water. And it's a sure bet, man.
It's like here on Charleston on the East Coast, the best time to fish the beach is after lunch because the sun's behind you and you don't get blinded by the sun. So I guess you're on the West Coast, so that morning would be perfect.
Yeah. So when you can actually see there, you silhouette it out. That's a good thing. Yeah, obviously you've always got to contend with wind. That's just part of beach life.
Yeah.
But we grew up doing it, man. I grew up all up and down the South African coast looking for coastal fish like GTs, jeets, Mozambique and the Zululand coastline. Those are my stomping grounds, man. So you get pounded. It's actually awesome. You don't have the wave action like you have on Africa's coastlines. On Africa's coastline, a good day is a 4 to 5, 6 foot wave. It's like a lake, man. Sometimes it's dead, and that's the good part of this. On those days, you can take the flats boat out here on the front end. It's no problem.
Fish just past the breakers and cast back at the bank.
Yeah, like the breakers are nothing, man. I mean, the breakers are like 1 foot, 2 foot, so you don't have an issue at all with you can actually go out here with a pretty small skiff, or flats boat and do pretty well, especially in the mullet runners about it. And I think one of the world's best mullet runners come past here. So, from the beach, you got, there's huge opportunity to catch, obviously, the snooker there, but definitely tarpon. I mean, I've seen tarpon, 5 foot from the shoreline, man.
Yeah. I remember some people, I think it was Black Tip Media or somebody put out, or Blackfin put out aerial footage of that mullet run through Florida a couple years ago.
It is crazy,
tarpon,
man.
you could spit on those tarpon. They were like right at your feet off the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a true big fan of, I've caught lots of big tarpon, but I'm not really a big fan of them. They're great to catch, but I really like to hunt them in an environment where it gets a bit tricky. There's a few more challenges, but I love the I'd say those 40s to 60s, man. Those are just plain fire. You know what I mean? They mean business, man.
Yeah.
They're a wake up call.
And you're not whipped after one or two.
It's nothing will whip you like a GT will, but or a dog tooth or something like that. But these guys, obviously they have that, the jumping and attribute that makes them special.
Yeah,
they're a pretty special creature.
Is that not much tide there on the West Coast either, right?
No, the tides here. Obviously you get your kings that come in every now and then, mainly in winter. But it's a pretty low. It's really not that big. It's not a huge tidal difference.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't get them. Obviously we're always contending with red tide down here, and obviously we've got this other story that we just had up here at Piney Creek, I believe, up in Tampa. That doesn't do us good.
What happened there?
Well, that old fertilizer plant, the whole dam broke, that just, I mean, after years and years of rehabbing the Tampa Bay area, and it was really fishing well, it's pretty much, I wouldn't say it's back to zero, but it got hurt, and it's something that Florida needs to deal with, man. Florida is water. And I just, I think a lot of people are sat in their laurels for too many decades. It's actually decades now. And as I say, Florida is water, and they need to fix it, man. It's it's like the Everglades. Everything needs to be done to protect it.
Yeah, and all those problems start north of the Everglades. It's all the stuff
absolutely
central and northern Florida coming down that are killing Everglades. Sugar.
Everybody knows what the problem is. Everybody knows everybody knows who the problem is. It's just a case of being bold enough and brave enough as from a political point of view.
Right.
And then and it'll be unbelievable down here. I mean, I think tourism will just go through the roof.
Well, that's got to be Florida's main income. Is
it
tourism.
Absolutely
it's
is.
Not sugar.
I mean, no, it's not sugar. It's the most expensive sugar in the world. Why would you even buy it?
Right.
It's we can get the stuff from elsewhere, and and the sad part is that there's so many good guys. There's so many captains, fishing captains that are fighting this. They have come to the forefront, and I've got tremendous respect for them. I think once I'm down here now, I'll get a little bit more involved with it, because you got to commit to it. You got to take the gloves off, man.
That's it. Hit hard.
Let's go. So it's.
When you were growing up in Africa, you did mostly coastal fishing as a kid?
No, actually, it was mainly, my fishing started really in a really arid, it sounds weird, but an arid region of South Africa. When you and I fished up in Denver area,
Fort Collins,
that I'm telling you right now, man, that was pretty emotional for me, man.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
I swear to you, that was like my upbringing, weird. The river looked the same, and I immediately remembered how, I was fishing on my hands and I was basically on my knees the whole time fishing there. And that's the approach that I had there. And so you can catch fish, they're super wary, man. But when I grew up, it was the days of the wax lines and the cane rods that are now seeming to come back into fashion.
Yeah.
And it was like taboo. You could never touch the old man's rods, man. It was like you could wax the lines. That was about it. That's as close as you came to fly fishing, And I remember catching my first trout on a little yellow flower, a tiny little yellow flower that I picked along the shoreline. It was either grasshoppers or little flowers, and that's how I started. And obviously it progressed from there, going to our rivers, pretty much got pretty intense into fly fishing after the military, because in South Africa, you had to go to the military. You either went to jail or you went to the military. That was, you didn't have a choice, and that was okay. And then after that, I was let loose, and then I started the exploits of, and basically my fishing, I was very competitive at one stage. I fished what was called art lure angling, which is the concept of using lures and fly. And I'd say the fly was used randomly in those situations, but after time, I gravitated to a lot, chasing a lot of species. The goal was to catch as many species as you could on a day. So we became really versed in species, and it's ingrained in me now. I just hunt species. I'm not a size guy. I'm not this guy, or a particular fish. If there's 30, 40 species out there in that particular area, I'm going to try and get every single one of them. So it's in my blood now. So, but we became super knowledgeable, on the competitive side. You fish for your state, or you fish for your country, or you educate the young ones. It's the highest honors that you can get. And I fish with great guys. Most guys in the fly fishing industry know Cliff Rochester from H2O, South Africa, the fly guy. I fish with Cliff, man. He's a hell of a damn good fisherman, man. He's got eyes like an osprey, man. He's blessed.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of other guys that I fished with that, and eventually you learn, and eventually you teach. And I don't think you ever stop learning. That's a good thing about the sport.
So y'all competed all across Africa or all across?
Yeah, so we competed against Africa. Yeah, obviously the countries that we competed against each other, and then obviously we competed against other worlds. Obviously Europe was involved. I don't think we ever fished against the States, but a lot of European countries, we fished against. And we had a tremendous record. I mean, we were pretty unbeaten for close to 2 decades.
Dang.
So I was really involved in that, but as I say, everything gravitated towards the fly rod. Eventually you wouldn't pick up the lures, and I caught my first carp on a fly, man, 35, 40 years ago, man. I'm glad to see that it's getting some traction, because they're fun to catch, but so it was, you had to be versed in saltwater and freshwater. It was estuary fishing, so basic estuarine fishing and fresh. So I'm proud to say I've even caught a mud skipper on a fly.
It's a rare one.
Yeah, and it counts because it got a gill.
Yeah,
they had gills, so they actually counted as points. You got 10 points to the species. So I've even caught mosquito cristellas on fly. Try that one. That is the nastiest and hardest fish I've ever tried to catch, man.
What's it called? A mosquito?
Yeah, mosquito cristellas. I mean, they're the mosquito fish that you have here.
Gotcha.
I mean, they're some of the smallest fish in the world. And try catch one of those on a fly. Yeah.
Have trouble back casting them into the trees.
Yeah, no. It's pretty much you're on your hands and knees, and it's a weird situation. It's not good. It's not a good visual perception of a fly fisherman on his hands and knees, with a little fly. And, the flies, like we used to tie these little flies on little dreenin hooks. They were size 32 dreenins from England.
Dang.
They are tiny. And you literally used to take a little bit of floss and just 1 or 2 turns. That was it. And we actually used to super glue the line to the hook. That's the only way, because most of them never had eyes. They just had like a little spade tip on the eye of the hook. Yeah. So that's how we used to catch them, because they had tremendous value in points. All right.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is the more rare species you get more points for?
Yes. So the harder the fish was, obviously, like a catfish. We're also very blessed that our cats are super, super aggressive, man. In Africa, we got the big flatheads, sharp tooth, as they're known, sharp tooth catfish there, and they hunt flies, man. They are. It's one of the fish that I really miss from Africa. There's a big sharp tooth cat, but you'd catch them that easily, so they didn't have much value. You got your 10 points, and then whatever weight it was pretty nominal. It was insignificant, So
how many points were the mosquito fish worth?
Well, they normally used to have like you got your 10 points for the fish, and then for the weight, didn't really have a weight. The scales couldn't read the fish, so they used to give you an extra like 20 points or so onto that. So you got like 30 points off the fish, So it was a huge, that could tip the scales, So
yeah,
it was interesting. It was interesting. Going after the diversities that were there, and I've had huge fun, like catching sunfish or what we used to call dwarfs and 3-spot minnows, and we used to go to Lake Malawi, and there was Lake Malawi is when you walk into your pet shop, that's Lake Malawi. So people ask how many species you've got. Well, I think I've caught hundreds of them. You lose count eventually, but it's up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you miss Africa's fishing, but I've been blessed that I've been able to travel a lot. It's ingrained in me. I've got to, before the things got trendy, with these GTs and stuff like that. We've done it. So it's good to see all these young guys getting on it, man, and trying new things. It's a lot of respect to them. So
yeah, those South African guys are doing awesome stuff for the whole
industry. Yeah, and they still trying to beat out new tracks, man. It's Unfortunately, because I was in a period of war, there were areas that we just couldn't go to. It was just not the right thing to do. So, but Mozambique was really good in its day until the Chinese came in there with their damn trawlers and sucked it dry. We had some atolls out there like Basada, India, which just had some phenomenal fishing, mate. Just absolutely brilliant stuff. Big triggers, bumpies, you name it, they were all out there. Big jeets, dogtooth tuna. You literally sometimes see marlins swim past you while you're standing on a sand spit. I mean, it just literally dropped off hundreds of feet off the edges, So we were able to travel out there. We used to, mate of mine, we used to steal the old man's yacht and travel out there. It was 143 nautical miles from harbor.
Dang.
And, we were like 16, 17 years old, man, with the old man's fancy yacht. We used to get in a lot of trouble fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously you got Mozambique, and then you got the Zululand coastline, and then you got the, those are all the warm fish, that's the East Coast, and then you go up the West Coast. West Coast got, what I think you guys call them bluefish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got some really nice bluefish, nothing like what you have here on the East, the upper East Coast. But, it was a great spot to go and catch a different array of fish there, like you had garrick. A lot of people never even heard of a garrick. Just a awesome fish on a fly, man. Just brilliant. Yeah.
I know there's tarpon on that upper west coast of Africa.
That
broke 200-pound scales.
Oh yes, no. There's I mean, the world records. Some of the world records come from up there. When you get up into Gabon, I don't know if any. I'm sure your boys know Arno Matia. Those guys are. They've. You got Gabon up there. It's a phenomenal fishery. It's a hard game. You got your sickle jacks up there, a lot of big jack species, and you got huge barracuda, chevron barracuda. You got big threadfin, El Capitan as it's known over there in Angola and that. So you got Rio Longa in Angola, and then as you go up into Gabon, and you get up, obviously then you get into the Congo area. And then that whole Ivory Coast, that whole area is just dynamite fishing, man, But the West Coast is pretty special. It's a very dangerous coast to fish. You've got to know your stuff. You pretty much enter at your own peril there. Nobody comes to help you. That's why it's called the Skeleton Coast. Is these big gates with big skeletons on them, and the road ends and it becomes sand. I mean, it becomes these giant sand dunes, and then you're on your own, man. But the fishing up there,
they literally have skeletons hanging.
Well, not just big pictures of a skull and bone, and it tells you clearly you enter your no helpers coming. It doesn't exist. So you always make sure that your buddy who's the mechanic comes, and the guy that can really cook comes.
The bartender.
You made the crew is selected. You got to make sure. But everywhere in Africa, it's like it. We used to go up to Kanyembe, which is an area up in the Zambezi River.
That's where I want to go. Tigerfish.
Oh man, that's a special fish. It's a really special creature. I've caught some of the best predators on the planet. That one is special to me, and I think why there's no other fish in fresh water as quick. It just doesn't exist.
Well, there's no other fish that looks like that either. I mean, it looks like the devil with fins. Yeah,
they just absolutely have that rocketing speed. Dorado, great. The peacocks are awesome. They just all lack that one thing, and it's just that sheer blistering speed. I mean, they make a bonefish look a little bit tired sometimes. They don't last as long because they expend so much energy with their jumps, and the fight's pretty short-lived, super aggressive. And if the river's flowing as well, then obviously you got a little bit more of a challenge on your hand. But Kayembe was such a rarity to drive to. I mean, I I remember 60 kilometers, which is like not even, man, that's what, 25 miles, 30 miles. It used to take 14 hours.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, you needed 4x4 skills, man. You know, like serious stuff. It's Land Cruiser country, man.
Yeah, dude, that's
Land Rover and Land Cruiser, you know. But when you get down there, you know, the Narrows, also known as Red Cliff, you know, it's got a couple of names. Just, it's Eden, man. It's just absolutely Eden. Mana Pools looks like you're stuck in the middle of a zoo, you know. I mean, where in the world do you go and watch a buffalo and a crocodile having a go at each other for a few hours? You know, the croc's stuck on the buffalo's face and the buffalo's pulling and the croc's pulling, you know, this tug of war's going on. And while you're fly fishing, you know, and the elephants are crossing the river. It's really a remarkable place, you know.
Makes you feel small.
Yeah, you know, and there was a camp on the Zambian side. It was Camp 6. And, you know, we've actually spent some evenings there with the lions and things bugging us all night, man. And you're not allowed to have weapons there. So pots and pans are your defense, you know. So, but yeah, and then there's also the great wonders of the world. You've got Vic Falls there, man. You know, you got to go and do the rapids. And then you got to do the jump off the bridge. I think at the time when I did that jump, it was the highest in the world.
Was that a bungee jump?
Yeah, you know, and then you can, from there they get you on the rafts and you can go down some serious rafting. You know, it's like class 4, class 5 stuff. And then you walk up the hill and get to Vic Hotel and just drink some really good beer, you know, after a good workout, you know.
Yeah.
And then you got Lake Kariba itself. You know, you get houseboats there that you can go out on Lake Kariba. I don't know how good it is anymore. You know, I think it's been exploited a lot with the netting. They used to net Capenta, but then I think it just got out of control. Yeah.
What is Capenta?
A Capenta is like a little riverine sardine that was introduced into it's a man-made lake. And as far as my knowledge goes, Kariba stretches, I think, nearly close to 300 kilometers.
Wow. It's a lake?
And and it's about 40, I'd say about 40 Ks wide, clicks wide on its width. It's a big chunk of water, man. And it's man-made, you know.
Did they build it for hydroelectric power? Or?
Yes, yeah, which didn't last very long. It was never maintained, you know. Yeah. So then they built Kohora Bassa. So the stretch that we're talking about, Kayembe or Redcliffe, you know, you used to get minor pools, and you get a whole lot of other. I don't want to get into the names because nobody will remember them. But minor pools, Redcliffe, and then obviously you get into Mozambique now, and then you get into Kohora Bassa, which is another monstrous body of water, also built for hydro, which doesn't work that well. But it's got some. So those Capenta, as they were placed in these lakes, these giant impoundments, they actually changed the structure of the fish. You know, when we first started catching tiger, they were these slender like bullets. You know, they had like that slender look about them. And obviously all the lake fish started to change their structure. They became more stockier, you know, more like, you know, wider at the top, you know, their whole structures changed. You know, they definitely became stockier, but they didn't detract from the fact that they could hammer you, man. They could fight, you know. And then obviously all the other species in the lake, you know, we got the largemouth species. We've got the olive bream, which is known as a Nuembe, which is just it's like a robustus. They really are aggressive fish, man. You got dozens of species like that, you know. And then you go to the Zambian side, you got Barotse Land, which is another phenomenal area to go tiger fishing. It's rich with it. And now you got the guys going up to, you know, they've got up in Northern Safaris. They've just really recently found that tiger fish. A lot of guys call them the blue tiger. It's got like this blue adipose fin. And that they seem to be bigger Yeah, it's a new cousin to the 5 that we thought we had. So the one that you catch down there is Hydrocanus vittatus, I think it is, and then you obviously got the big guy Goliath, which is up in the Congo area and that, So
the Goliath is found in is separate. It's found in separate waters and the
yes, absolutely, all the way up. Yeah. No, you got to go into Central Africa for that, eh?
And they're in river systems.
Yes, they're in the Congo system. As you know, the Congo was probably the most unexplored river in the world. It's got some of the greatest depths and some of the greatest volume of water. That gets moved.
Yeah.
But guys are in there doing the thing, and it's not an easy country to do that, man. It can be a little bit sketchy,
The heart of darkness.
Well, they still have it. They come out of a really sad and long war. It's never really healed itself. You know what I mean? It's got so much potential, but it's like with all the countries, in Africa, there's always some, I remember going to the Comores, for GT fishing. It was a great place to travel to. And then they had the coups, and then since then it's just not good, man. I think that's why the guys shipped it over to the Seychelles. The Seychelles is a really special place. I don't think there's a place like it on the planet. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to jeet fishing and just the flats type fishing, there's so much of it there, and it's because it's remote. But even there, they've had their issues. But luckily, that's all been resolved, and it's going better for the guys.
Yeah. So let's talk about megafin for a minute. How did you get started going to Colombia?
Well, I've been doing this a long time with a company called Fishing Real Africa. That was me. And then 9/11 happened, unfortunately. And that really just killed any travel business. So, I decided to leave it alone. It seemed like a fruitless enterprise at that time, And you couldn't blame people for not wanting to travel. A pretty scary incident. And then I left it alone for a while. Then I started up Megafin again. And Colombia is one of the countries I take people to, but I'm very fortunate. I work pretty closely with Faraway fly fishing, great bunch of guys, the Tracain brothers down in Argentina and that, Patagonia. I mean, they all these Lake Strubles and all these places, and some of the great sea run browns. These are the guys that actually found it, man. They're really good at what they do. And I'm blessed to have been in contact with these guys. I'm really well connected across the planet because I've been there and I fished with the guys. I love going to Australia. So Megafin was, I just had to do it again. And when Colombia came up, living here, to me, Colombia was one of those places that they had that dark side. All the drugs and stuff like that. Now everybody's fearful of it. And 10 years ago, I said to Debbie, I said, man, I've got to go. It's time. Let's go and see what happens, And I've got to tell you, man, the people of Colombia, I've never, most South American countries are super friendly. These guys just take it to another level. It just absolutely is one of the nicest countries you'll travel to, and we've been into some crazy places there, man. I mean, the Guianan Amazon, and looking for places, and I've met some really good anglers there. It's still in its infancy. I arrived there when fly fishing was just like a new vibe. I'll never forget, we went to the first show there with Alejandro Craval is his name, and Daniel Marais, two really good fishermen. And they were obsessed with peacocks and that, and obviously you also got the coastline. You got the Choco Coast, which has got exceptional fishing. A little bit tricky on the fly, but it was it was that one frontier that I didn't think people were getting into that much, other than the local guys, you know. And surprise, surprise, man. I don't think I'm telling you right now, no, people might slap me for it, but prove it to me. There's no better peacock destination. It just doesn't exist.
Your the pictures that you showed me, and I think there's a lot of them on your Instagram page. If anybody wants to look at Megafin Expeditions, I think it is.
Yeah.
Instagram. But just crazy. I remember when we met, you told me that people from Brazil came to Colombia to fish for peacock.
They are now the majority of our clients is Brazilians.
Yeah. Which is what I would
because
think.
It's way cheaper. It's it's thousands of dollars cheaper. And the guys that are in the peacock world will they can question me on this, but I don't think they would. I think they'll agree. I know guys that have been doing this for like 20 years in Brazil and elsewhere, like Venezuela and whatever. Venezuela's also got a really good peacock fishing, but I wouldn't go there right now. But it's hard. It's hard to break that 18-pound barrier. Yeah, like I say, I've known guys that have been hunting these fish for 25 years and have never even reached that. Well, I'll tell you right now, I've lost count on fish that I've got over 18. I've also said, I've said to Daniel and I've said to Alejandro, I'm telling you now, the world record's coming back to Colombia. So this last season, 28 pounds, but that was not on a fly. That was unconventional. That was on a lure, a topwater lure.
Those wood choppers.
Big choppers. Yeah. So the trick is with the big fish, and you can never generate the sounds, and that's why I enjoy the products that you guys make, like the double barrels and the Hausitzer. It's like they make noise, and sometimes there's a change in the noise, and like if you can't get a big cork on the hook, the bigger the noise, the bigger the fish, in my opinion. There's a lot less of them, but you need to ring the dinner bell for these guys, man. You got to bring him to you and to get him out of that hole, because if he gets you there, it's like bass fishing. If you get him right against a tree, it's not an 8-pound fish. These are 20-pound fish, and they got some Clydesdale in them, man. They got power. They really do. Getting big fish there, I honestly believe that's your best destination, period, to get a fish over 20. So Daniel and myself, the best day we ever had was 6 fish on the boat, and only one was 18. The rest were above 20, and mine was 22. That is, I don't think we'll ever do that again. That's just a special day, and you forget talking, on average. We've done the averages now. Between 8 guys, normally we range about 900 fish for the week. That's the norm. That's like a good average. And I'd say, conservatively speaking, I think the worst time I've ever had in the last 10, 11 years has been an average of 9 pounds, with the odd daily fish coming out at 16s and 18s and 20s, I'd say the averages are normally above the 10 mark. So you're looking at 11-pound mark, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And you forget there's pacu, there's huge black piranha. And oddly enough, I know this is going to sound weird, but as much as peacocks are awesome, there's a fish there called a sardinata. And I've got to tell you, man, that's the one.
I remember you telling me about those.
They really are special. I think it's because it's got those weird attributes that they can jump. They look like a tarpon. They got some really good power to them, speed. It's a herring. That's what it is. And it's and they're absolutely stunning. They're beautiful.
And you got Payara there too, right?
And yeah, the giant Pierre. We actually got the spot, man. It's a guy that we've been working for years. He does a lot of our scouting. Gustavo. And he's into fly fishing, man. This is the joy of it. Like I say, when we first arrived there, the first time when I went into Medellin, they had this little fly fishing expo there, and I actually got some stuff from you guys, and I took it down there and I gave it to Daniel. I think there were like 200 people there, but they were so enthusiastic. You could see the vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's over 1,500 now. It's like just exponentially grow. They got fly tying clubs, and when you do get down to the river now, you actually see the fly rods a lot more. The guys are just traveling with fly rods. And that's what makes us. We push the fly fishing agenda a lot to get down. Get on these rivers, and it seems to be working. But the Sardinatas, man. We had a friend of ours that flew in with the military. You can only get in there with the military. That's the thing about Colombia. It's like, I'm telling you, man, as far and wide as we've gone on 4-day boat trips just to get to a place. The fishing there is unbelievable. And then you get to this, unfortunately, we couldn't make it because of this COVID, but he got in. And he caught some sardinatas. The peacock fishing was a little bit on the low side. He says there weren't many big peacocks. But the catfish, the red-tailed cats, and I think the first 3 sardinatas that they caught broke the world. This is not on fly, though. This was on convention. On lures. They eat big flies, these things, man. They'll eat a 15-inch fly, no problem. And why, I have no idea. They have quite a large mouth, but nothing like a tarpon or anything like it, But they're just super aggressive. So anything on the water, anything near them, they eat it. They broke the world record by 6 to 7 pounds on each fish.
Dang. What's the world record? Like,
I think they're up in the 10s, 12s, something like that. These things are way over the 15, 16 pound mark. That was an eye opener. We've got to get back there. That much I do know. It's happening. No, I don't care if I have to crawl there, but we're going.
Do you have plans to go this year?
So what keeps you out of there is the rainy season. Okay, they have a serious rainy season. Now, the main river is the Orinoco. The Orinoco can rise by 125, 130 foot. It's ridiculous.
Dang.
You've never seen water like it, man. It's just the craziest thing. But I think it's the 4th or 5th biggest river in the world. Okay, so it pushes water January, like even at its low season. It's a big river to contend with. But we fish the offshoots of that, right? So you got the Beta River, there's the Jorepe River, there's a whole lot of other little rivers that I don't like to mention too much. But they're all special, but that rainy season comes in and it starts, so you've got like a short window between, I'd say, late December to mid-April. For May, you are playing with trouble. You get stuck there, you staying there. You're not getting out. So
because of the water levels.
Yeah. They've even had the airports, and that's like a dry point settlement, which is at its highest point.
Mm.
I'd hate to know what the width of that river becomes, man. It must be 20 kilometers.
Dang.
It's like 3-4 times the size of the Mississippi. It's just this monster, But they've learned to live with it, They seem pretty nomadic sometimes, They'll shift out of the towns because the whole town will be underwater,
I guess that also puts a lot of good sediment back for the farmers.
Yes, actually, it's weird that you say that. It's the best sand in the world comes from These are pristine jungles. And a lot of people don't know this, but the actual jungles of Colombia have got the same protective status as a human being. It's one of the few countries in the world that have made it very serious. If you do something bad there, you're going to get in trouble. There are always people that are going to try.
You mean as far as them protecting the rainforest?
Yeah, absolutely. You just not walking in there chopping down trees with an axe. That's not going to happen like in Brazil.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
But Brazil's out of
like Brazil.
Brazil is absolutely out of control at the moment. It's a leader again, that just doesn't care. With that type of protection, and you see the care that they have, only good things can come from it. I just hope they hold on to it. They're struggling a little bit now, but they've got through the worst. And I'm going to say something. It's another thing that was probably going to be a little bit controversial, but that's a good thing. It always brings debate. There's a place there that I consider is probably the best tarpon place on the planet.
In Colombia?
Oh, yeah. It exists, my friend. It exists. It's just one of those things that you just can't mess with right now.
Just for sheer numbers or size, both?
Just unbelievable. Yeah. It's just like off the charts. Yeah. But the chocolate coastline, like I said, it's probably one of the cheapest places that you can catch a sailfish on a fly. We can go out there in a day and get 20 sails, man.
That's nuts.
If you go to or you go to Guatemala, or I call it go to Guatemala, Venezuela, like you used to, you pay. You pay. You go to Panama, like Tropic Star Lodge. I don't have to give you the price of that. You're going to pay. You're looking at an eighth of the price. And so we've tried. I choose specific fish that I gravitate towards. That I like in the bunch, like caberas. Now we've tried to catch them on fly rods, man. We've been losing badly. That's all. It's like the fight's not fair, but we'll get them. These are big fish, man. And the great thing about it, like I said, it's a really hard environment on a fly, except for the sails. The sails are easy. You can tease them and get them, and they're visual. I mean, you're literally half a mile off the bank, off the shoreline. I mean, you can literally see the shore break behind you. They are monstrous. I've never seen peacocks that big. Never. It's but I'll tell you, they're close to the hundreds.
Really?
Yeah. They I've got some pictures. I think I might have shown you one or two. But when 3 guys have to hold up a peacock, a rooster, it's big. Yeah, the roosters are really, really big there. Yeah. Caberas are always, they are what they are. The sails there are big as well. Good marlin fishing. If you prepare to, work a little bit harder for the marlin, you'll get them. What's interesting about the place, if you do connect with a tarpon, it's really big as well. Yeah, it's very similar to what you'll get in Trinidad, down with Jonathan De La Rosa down in Trinidad. That's a great tarpon fishery, especially for beginners. They're normally big, but what's also super big there are the snook. These guys have got 60-pound snook, man. So when you do connect with one, they're big.
And they have the different varieties too, don't they have?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, we've actually got a spot on the neighboring side there. We get like 3-4 different species of snook, in as many casts, which is pretty special.
Yeah, I know myself especially, but I bet 99% of fly fishermen, when you say Colombia, they don't think about saltwater. It's jungle.
No, they don't. And I think the reason why, as I said, it's not an easy fishery. But if you're prepared to work at it, sometimes you're going to have to throw a chump for them. You're going to have to. It's like macro fishing on a fly or whatever. And that's okay. You know, if you're there to catch some fish and have some fun, yeah. And if you're prepared to work hard, you know, there's great dorado, big bull dorado there that you'll definitely get on the fly quite easily. There's a lot of log in the water, so you have a lot of wood in the water there. You know, you got the Humboldt current that comes in there, so there's a gathering of stuff there. There's yeah, unfortunately, there's trash lines and there's grass and there's logs and everything, and you know what's underneath that. They're super unique in their color, and it's one of those things I've thought about. I think it's because they eat a lot of squid.
The dolphin you're talking about?
Yeah, the dorado. Yeah, and I don't know. I hope somebody's listening and can actually give me that answer, because I'm not a biologist. So, but I think it's because they eat a lot of squid. Because I don't think I've ever seen the color that we get down there. They're actually bright blue with black lines.
I've seen pictures of them like that, but I've never seen one in person.
Yeah, you know, and it's and a lot of them are like that. So, and obviously you get the standard colors, but they big, man. You know, I've got some big dorado in Australia and that, but yeah, these guys are they supersize, you know. But yeah, like I say, the travel thing, you know, I know Colombia is very special to me. You know, I've been to Papua New Guinea before it became fashionable. You know, once again chasing jeets and dogtooth tuna. You know, we were crazy enough to get to Papa, spend some time with the cannibals there, a month or two with them, hunting Papua New Guinea and black bass. And then we decided to do something really stupid. We actually got this little 20-foot boat and we went out to the conflict group of atolls, which was uninhabited. So, yeah, chasing obviously dogtooth tuna at the time and jeets, giant barracuda, sleeping on the beaches and crazy stuff like tuna fish. Tuna, I've never seen schools of tuna like it before, which is just, you know, put down the rods, can't do it anymore. You know, so where you're out. You know,
I wish I had that problem today.
Yeah. And then I'm fond of Oz. The Oz is good, man. You know, especially if you're going like to the Bay of Carpentaria. That's above Cairns. You know, Seisha area, Bamaga, the Jackie. Phenomenal fishery, just absolutely. Yeah, those days when I first started going, I'm talking 25 years ago when I first started going there. We didn't know about permits. You know, and we'd like see these like big silver things like coming up from the bottom. What the hell are these things, you know? And we'd throw everything at these damn fish, and obviously nothing was eaten, you know. And then, over the years, you know, more and more guys get involved and more guys hear about it. You know, off they go and they go and do it. So what we were doing wrong, we're just throwing the wrong stuff at them. They like swimming crabs, you know. So it's all those little. That's the joy of this game, you know. Is that as time goes on, eventually somebody figures it out. You know, you figure some things out. And as time goes on, you know, the new guys figure it out. But the permit are just massive.
You're fishing on wrecks, off of wrecks?
No, you can fish them right off the beach if you want, man. Yeah. But mainly estuary mouths. So the main fish there are obviously the big queenfish, obviously jeets, big barra, you know, big barramundi, all great fish, man. You know, it's an exceptional fishery. Big threadfins, you know. So yeah, special place. Yeah, never drive there. Don't ever do that. And make sure if you do, you better have a serious vehicle like a Land Cruiser or something, because you won't get there. I think it's considered the most rutted road in the world. It's 900 kilometers of pure hell. So, and when you're flying, make sure you can handle thermals, because I think when you go across the Jackie, it's considered some of the worst thermals in the world. It's a roller coaster ride.
I hate that shit. I do. I'm not a bad flyer. I went to pilot school, but if somebody else is flying, I don't like hitting those things. So
no, it's you know, you just got to accept it as a fun trip. You know, Jay, drink beer, man. Sit on the plane and drink beer.
it would have to be a little heavier than that.
Yeah. I'm lucky. I always get put right at the back in the middle, so I'm good. I'm not the anchor.
Ballast weight.
Ballast, yeah. So, yeah, it's all good, man. You know, it's I miss traveling, man. I miss my mates. You know, now there's the guys from Africa Waters. They've reestablished some really good fishing in Chad and places like that. You know, these are crazy top fishing. You know, it's right. It's remote, and it's unique. You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's where you go fishing with a rifle. You know, there's hippos, there's lions, there's buffalo, you name it, man. It's at its rawest form. You know, it was like the Nubian flats. You know, everything is now getting, because we can travel a little bit further and communications a little bit better. You know, when we used to travel, there was no communication. You know, you went into these jungles, like when I went into Papua New Guinea, that was it. Nobody even knew you're coming out alive, you know?
Yeah. There's no sat phones and emails.
Yeah. And you always make sure you take the smallest mates with, because they fit into the pots. You don't.
I don't know, if I was in somewhere like Papua New Guinea where they eat people, I'd want to be the smallest guy, you know?
No,
they look at me like, oh, there's some good
dude.
eating in that dude.
It's like when you go to Africa, you always take the fattest friends with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you can run faster than them. But, you know, jokes aside, you know, the guys that do fish these environments are pretty hardcore guys. You know, they're pretty self-reliant. You know, you don't have to worry about the guys, you know. And I've never, ever gravitated towards the fancy lodges and that. You know, there's a lot of good operators that do that. And I'd rather hand them over to those guys. I'm more on, I just call it the suffer fest. I like the guys to slug it a little bit. It's getting back in touch with what we know, you know, just rough it a bit, man. It's okay, you know.
Yeah, that's totally how I am. I would much rather sleep in a tent or even in a boat deck.
A bivvy, man. Yeah, sleep on the beach. Yeah.
There's time for that. That's
yeah, absolutely. You know, the fancy, it's some people that's what they want, and you know, I'm happy that you are that way inclined. But I'm just not that guy that's taking you there.
Yeah.
You know, I'll know somebody in that. Yeah. But you know, I'm just not into that. You know, I prefer those guys that it's not just about fishing. I think we've somewhere along the line we just lost that a little bit. Yeah, it's about your mates. It's about having a good time, and it's okay if the weather turns all crappy on you. We'll get through it. You know?
And it's about reconnecting with your environment too. That's real easy to
absolutely
do.
Yeah, culture.
If you're going back and checking your emails and having a chocolate on your pillow every night, you're not learning shit.
Yeah. Well, it's not happening in the areas I'm taking.
Right, that's true.
Not even today, man. I've got a sat phone for the guy. If you want to phone, you're welcome to phone, but that's about it. You know? And that's what we want to do. We want to draw people out of their comfort zones and give them that experience. You know, we've taken guys to places and they've never seen stars, man. It's like weird.
Yeah.
Or the way you intended to see stars. You know what I mean? Just take a breather. Yeah. Get off the technology. Yeah, you and I are sitting talking on the stuff. Bad.
That's just irony.
Yeah. So, and it's so hopefully this year I want to try and get back into Africa again, towards Gabon area, take some guys in. Hopefully there's some takers, because that's a really special place. Yeah, once again, there's really few places in the world where you can be fly fishing and an elephant walks past on the beach, or a hippo.
Yeah.
Or a gorilla, a lowland gorilla is looking at you, Fishing's tricky, but if you're persistent, you're going to get, there's a lot of fish that will eat anything, like your jacks. But there's so many other fish there, big threadfins and cabera from the beach. Who gets cabera from a beach?
Yeah.
Giant tarp, and you name it. But you got to work for it. It's not an easy fishery. But is it worth going there? Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah.
So when are we going, Scotty?
Oh man, I was gonna say you sold me years ago. Yeah, my wife said once we get the kids out of diapers, I'm able to travel again, and they're well out of diapers, and I still haven't gone out of the country really. Maybe
you know what? They never out of diapers.
I have an old friend of mine, Sandy Sturr. He was one of the first guides in town. And when I used to have my fly shop, I used to have the kids in there because we couldn't afford to put them in daycare and stuff. So I was wiping his butt one day and he came in and I'm like, Sandy, I'm just tired of cleaning up shit. And he goes, well, once they're out of diapers, you got a whole different type of shit you got to clean up. You clean it up your whole life.
Yeah. It's the good thing is they do grow up, and hopefully they become your fishing buddies as well, so it's, they got the bug too, they don't fish as hard as I do, or I think if they could, they would. They love it when they do it. I'm fortunate that Debbie is she's a good fisher person, so she can fish hard, man. She loves being out either on the kayak or the boat. So I'm fortunate enough that she's always joined me in my fishing exploits. She promotes it, which is rare.
Yeah, for sure.
It's rare. So
does she like it there in Florida where y'all are?
Yeah, I think she's enjoying it. I think she's this, it's a weird story. It's a long story. This thing started, like I say, 3-4 decades ago. On a farm, watching the old VCR tapes of Flip Pallet and Chico Fernandez and all those guys. I think it was called the Chronicles at that stage.
Walker's Cay Chronicles.
Walker's Cay.
Best thing ever.
And myself and Steve Baker, who's a mate of mine, he's Captain Steve Baker. Look, we fish Port Stevens in Australia a lot for marlin. And I think he's got the world record macro on 8, a 207-pound fish.
On 8 pound?
Yeah, I think 8-pound test. I think that's the record. I'm under correction. That took us 10 years, man. 10 years of slug, but eventually he got it. So Steve and myself used to watch music. We used to go down to the local, from the farm, we drive down to the bar, the local there, and drink way too much, young, wild. And we'd go back and we'd first watch the video, because that was like the only one we had. I remember I had that tape and I had one from Seven Spirit Bay in Australia. And I said to him, I'm telling you, one day I'll have a boat. I'll have one of those boats. Well, they didn't look like these now, but they're a replica of similar. They were still designing them and figuring them out, I think. And I said, I'll have one of those boats and I'll live near the Everglades and I'll fish there. And that's exactly what's transpired. It's taken decades, but rather than never. So,
damn right.
But we used to watch these damn tapes like over and over and over. It was ridiculous. And Debbie used to walk in and say, "Are you watching that tape again?" Yes. We were hooked on it.
They were so good.
I wish I had this. Those days, we were still under sanctions, and you couldn't get stuff into our country, because of apartheid and that. So they were literally smuggled in, by friends and family.
Bootleg.
Mine was smuggled from here to, I think, to Scotland, and from Scotland it was smuggled into South Africa with a Pink Floyd tape. You weren't even allowed to have Pink Floyd. It was against the law. We had some strict laws, man. I was a Black Sabbath fan, so I get these Black Sabbath, the tapes themselves, and Pink Floyd, and everybody'd like try and copy it from me. It's like it felt like a bad drug dealer all the time. Doing the black market stuff, So they were good days, man. And as going back to South Africa, that progressively, as we went into the species game, we started. There was a lot of protection for trout, which was an alien fish in our water. And then we started fishing for all those species that nobody ever thought you'd get on fly, like catfish and yellowfish. That these are all the species that we have that are indigenous to our country, and they're remarkable fish, man. Like even yellowfish. There's anybody that thinks they've had a tough time catching a fish on a fly, come try yellow, man. They'll it's like catching triggers, man. Triggers, or on the saltwater side, triggers sometimes make you scratch your head. You want to break the rod, and you question your religion and all sorts of things out there. You go, oh man. But this, as we talk about this thing, I've got such fond memories of people that I met along the way. And but I said, no, gentlemen, he's a German chap. Horsfalter is an amazing fly tire, and in South Africa, and I used to fish with him for years. He taught me a lot about yellow fishing, and bass, all that stuff. He used to tie these big Dahlberg divers and stuff. He's one of those first guys in South Africa that started tying them, and he was just remarkable at it. He was really good. And we started doing all the stuff with epoxies and stuff. So it's weird. You see how the countries connect eventually. In the game, you see flies that have been tied now that were possibly tied 25, 30 years ago. Obviously they're not the synthetics we have today, and all the mod cons that the products that you guys have. Just I wish we had them when we were growing up. Would have made life a lot easier. Yeah. It certainly would have. So it's as you go through all the fish and all the people you met along the way, and some are gone now. Like a lot of guys, I'm sure, that have gone to Christmas Island used to know Tanake Karamboti was his name. Tanaki, that's what most guys called him on Christmas Island. We became great friends, and I'll never forget, the trigger fish. We talk about the triggers just now, and he said to me, he says, make one thing sure when you're going for a trigger. He says, make sure it's a homeless trigger.
Yeah.
And I gave it some thought. You always like brush it off and you just go, what was that now? He says, make sure it's a homeless trigger. And then I started figuring out what this thing was all about. So it's one without a home. They literally are traversing from one place to another. They don't have a hole to go to.
Right.
And he says those are the easy ones to catch because they don't know which way. They don't get into the crevices. They don't exactly know where the crevices are. Because you get one that has a home, he's in there.
Yeah, he's popped that trigger up. And he's stuck.
Yeah, and he's in there, and that's it. It's like it's a lost cause, for the most part. So and then only after that you think about it, that's pretty smart. He wasn't considered one of the best guards in the world for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was a cool cat, man. Yeah. And there again in the industry, you meet all these new individuals, and what you've known in the past. And I think what I do appreciate with the industry, and hopefully it gravitates to it and stays there, is that we keep sharing our knowledge and and what we've learned, our experiences, where to go, what to do, how to do it, So
we're all in it. Like you said, we're all in it together. You got to share your knowledge.
Especially it's good to see the youngsters out there, and doing their thing. And I'm in particular, I'm super proud of my countrymen for the frontiers that they've, where we stopped. They, unfortunately, I didn't have enough time in my own, continent. I wish I could have spent more time in Africa when I was growing up. But we just, with the war, it just wasn't, everything was on fire then, man. It was dangerous.
Just bad time to be there.
Yeah. So, but we were on the outskirts of all that. Like I say, as soon as the war stopped in Mozambique, we were in there, you know, and we had a lot of our own water that we were exploring with fly rods, you know, and developing flies, and chasing down species along our coastline, you know, like ladyfish. We got big ladyfish, man. Oh, ladyfish get big. I mean, you know, yeah, some ladyfish, you know, easy 15 pounds, man.
Dang.
Yeah, they get big, man. Yeah, if not bigger, you know. We got bones, but we don't have the flats, so you know it's one of those hit and miss things. Yeah, catching mullet. A lot of guys don't fish for mullet on a fly. Start fishing for mullet on a fly, man. They are super strong. They taste damn good as well. You know, prepare to smoke them or turn them into some pate or something like that. But yeah, and you know, and the good thing is it's there doesn't seem to be a fish that's safe from fly rotting now. Yeah, I mean marlin is not a big problem, you know.
Not
Jake
from
Jordan,
you anyway, with your
yeah,
size 32 hooks.
Yeah, like Jake Jordan. I mean, just look at his achievements in life. Just tremendous respect for the guy. You know, yeah. To him, you say, yeah, blue marlin. He goes, yeah, let's go do it. He's done it and been there and done it plenty of times. You know, so yeah. So it's good to know that everything's. Now we're getting to these fish that are really like this. You know, there's a few fish that still drive me crazy. And that's the Chinese carp. Now, Chinese grass carp, yeah, they're easy. Yeah, it's not a tricky fish. Common carp, that's no problem. But man, these silver carp or the bullheads, yeah, I think it's doable. Yeah, you'll hook the odd one, but you know, you can never say with confidence, oh, I know how to catch those things. Because if you want something strong, man, those fish have just got some, damn, they got some power, you know.
Is that the invasive ones that they're here in the U.S. now?
Yeah. So I think it's it's the silver bullheads that they got. I think it's two different ones. We've tried, you know, throwing everything out except the vinegar and chips, man, because those things will drive you crazy, man. So, and then you got, you know, yeah, in this country, you've got grinnell. I don't know if you know grinnell. I think you might know it as a bowfin.
Yeah, bowfin.
Awesome.
Oh, very
I think
much
it should be a national fish.
Totally.
No, that might get me shot.
No,
early in the morning.
Blaine and I were talking about that last week. It's like the Rodney Dangerfield of this country.
Bowfin
no respect.
are awesome. Yeah, obviously alligator gar, yeah, long nose, whatever. I think they've just really overlooked. Yeah,
the bowfin especially. That's a crazy prehistoric fish.
Yeah. You know, I'm fortunate there's a couple, you know, being near the Mississippi, there's a lot of offshoots, you know, little bayous and little, you know, especially when the place floods. We got some wetland areas there, man, with these big bowfin. And you quickly forget about the bass.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about the bass. You know, you go to these places and say, are you going bass? You say, no, I'm going bowfin. You know, so it's a good fish, man. You know.
When are y'all gonna come up this way?
Hey, tell me when.
Come tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you. Well, you got cobia going there now?
Yeah, the cobia are just kind of full swing now.
Yeah.
There's still a bunch of albies off the coast too, and the redfish are obviously in full swing too.
Right.
Get a good tide with chasing those.
Yeah, so you know, I'm heading back up to Memphis to take Debs back. You know, I must check. Maybe I can make
stop here.
Take the scenic route.
Totally. Yeah, y'all stop here for a night.
Yeah, take the scenic route, man. Why not?
I'll make Perry chicken.
Yeah. I try and introduce it to as many American mates that I have. You know, you got to downtown a little. Yeah. it's a little bit hot for them. So
Oh, it's hot.
I had a bunch of them the other night, man. I thought it was the first deaths on the island from eating hot food because they were struggling, man.
It's like
they were sweating and
chicken flavored hot sauce is what it is.
Well, it's got that unique bird's eye chili that we have in Africa, and it's Portuguese. Really, it's basically a Portuguese dish. Portuguese were colonists in Africa, and that's why I struggle with Spanish, man. There's very few Spanish colonies in Africa. It's mainly Portuguese and obviously English and whatever. But they make it like fiery hot.
Yeah.
And it's weird that it comes from Africa because Africa is a hot continent, and the areas that really was like a stronghold, the peri was near the equator, which is even hotter. But, I don't know, but I think it's because they wanted to drink more beer. So I think it's beer, very chicken or prawns, man. That on prawns is another story, man. It's good stuff.
It's like in Thailand, that food's so spicy and it's as hot and humid there as it is anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But they say when you eat the hot stuff, it opens your capillaries, you get more oxygen in your blood and you sweat less.
Yeah.
And it was true. I'm a big chunky dude and I sweat like crazy, but over eating that hot food, I didn't sweat much.
Well, the English drink tea.
Yeah. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, the English need to jack up their game, man. Tea is not an option.
No.
It's either got to be coffee or beer, one of the two,
or iced sweet tea.
No, it's no, I think I need to make a turn there, but or you need to come down. I've got a bunch of guys coming down now. For the 3 guys. I think one's from the Patagonia bunch, and another one's I think he's now the new director of the show.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Fly fishing show?
Yeah. I think he was, I'm under correction. I think he's from New Orleans. And I've got Paul Moynister coming. A lot of guys know Paul. He's super connected in the industry. They're just nice guys, and then they're all hardcore flying guys, which is great. It's I've got a lot to learn down here. I'll be lying if I said I know the scoop on the place. I've got to figure out tides. I've got to figure out wind, and just how it all connect the dots. I think about 2-3 months of solid fishing.
Yeah, that's the fun part, is figuring it all out.
Yeah, and I enjoy that. When you go to these countries that most people have never even heard of, some people, and then other people, you go there and you got a fly rod in there, and they're like, look at the fly rod, and they go, okay, what is that? Those are good countries because it's like opening up a new book,
Totally.
And then obviously developing the flies. What I've heard through the grapevine, gurglers seem to be a huge thing down here.
Yeah.
There's one fly shop in this whole area. One. That's it.
Which one is that?
I think it's called, once again, I'm under correction, I think it's called Western Wall, or the West Wall fly fishing shop. I need to get in touch with the guy. I like to introduce these guys to the guys that I know. To help them in business, and talk about you guys, open up some doors there. I mean, that's how business works, and that's how friendships are made.
Yep.
So, that it's good to connect and like I said, I've seen, since I've been here, I think I've seen 2 guys fly fishing. That's it. And but like I say, I haven't traveled a lot, so I haven't got off and got on the boat, gone into Port Charlotte or up to Mayaka yet. I've just been too busy. Phase 1 is done. Phase 2 is done. Phase 3 is fishing. Done. I'm going fishing. I've been really waiting for the snip on the beach. That's what I've been grinding away for, so I can get away and do that.
Yeah, sounds perfect. Just being able to walk down.
You hop in the golf cart.
Yeah.
Put the rods on the roof. Yeah, we've got 2 noodles on the roof. Slip your fly rod in, and we literally 4 minutes, 5 minutes away from the beach.
Nice.
Get on and go, which is nice.
And that book, the beach snook fishing will go on most of the summer, correct?
Yes, yeah. So, when we bought this place was, I think, in around October last year, and there was still snook on the beach. Yeah, definitely. There's ladyfish here. There's definitely pompano. The odd permit is here as well, but you're not getting them on the fly. So off my dock, I've caught 11 species, man, which is pretty good.
Not bad. Better than you can do in Memphis.
Yeah. Memphis geographically is not my favorite place, man.
Not the greatest fly fishing hub. It's a fun city.
No, but if you go into Arkansas, you're 2-3 hours away from, you got the Little Red there, you got the White, you got the Spring. There's some good fishing. There's some big fish there, man. There's some monster browns. If you prepare to do some night fishing there, you can get onto some really, really big browns, man, and big rainbows. They got brook trout as well.
Yeah.
But there again, I'll gravitate towards the stripers, on the Tennessee River, or the big whites, the hybrids. Mm-hmm. We've got big hybrids on the Exxon Mississippi River. Just don't eat them. Never eat them. Not good.
Get a little lip fungus.
Yeah, a little bit more than that. So there's some good stripers there. If you prepare to go to the Tennessee systems like Pickwick Lake, there's good bass there too, man. Mm-hmm. Big bass.
And Tennessee's got actually a lot of good trout water too.
Yes, yeah. Obviously, if you move up into the Nashville area, Chattanooga area, obviously things get exponentially better. Mm. And I think there's a few more wilder streams up there. For fathers and young kids, I think you got to be 16 and younger. There's a little place called Dry Run Creek in Arkansas. That is a place I can recommend to anybody. It's really one of the great places to take a kid or a special individual in a wheelchair or something like that that loves fishing. I've done a lot of work with the vets, tying flies at Bass Pro, mm-hmm. teaching and getting them, you start introducing them to waters that they can go to, like Dry Run, and there's some big fish in there. There's 10-15 pound trout in there. Yeah, bigger, a lot bigger actually.
Yeah, there's a couple of places here that you have to have a kid with you under 16.
Yeah, it's always good to see how the fathers deal with it.
Yeah,
let me hook it for you, then I'll pass you the rod. Hey, God, no.
Has my wife been talking to you?
Yeah, those places exist, which is nice, and then obviously the fly tying, I used to tie all those ridiculous.
Are we back?
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, the whole internet just shut down. Martin came in and said his computer went down too.
I said, well, I'm surprised that this island hasn't dropped us yet, because the comms down here is a little bit sketchy, but it's okay,
That's good though. You don't always want people to be able to get in touch with you.
No, it's a bit of a hide away for a while, which is always a good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, talk to Debbie, see if y'all can crash here for a night. We'll go out to dinner, we'll go fishing and have a grand old time.
Yeah. As I said, my son was up there this weekend. He loves it there, man. He says it's a good spot there.
It's a great town. It really is.
Yeah.
What was he doing here? Just hanging out?
Yeah, his wife is one of the traveling nurses dealing with all this nonsense. So they only got married like a few months back. So he goes to see her, and luckily he's got himself some other employment now, and he pretty much can work anywhere in the world or remotely. So it gives him a lot of flexibility. He can visit her and then get back to his dogs, which is a good thing.
Those are the dogs you had at your house last time, right?
Yeah, well, I've got mine, and then obviously theirs as well. So they're down here with me right now. So they're becoming skiff dogs now. You just walk down to the dock. Yesterday Debbie was actually fighting a fish off the dock, and she just did some bait fishing last night, and he took off the dock after the fish, man.
Oh yeah, jumped in.
Yeah, so we gotta be careful of that, You don't want to be doing that when you're fighting a black tip or a hammerhead or something. Man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So they're still in training. It's a new thing for them. So
yeah, we just got another dog too. He's been on the boat a few times.
Yeah.
He's 12 weeks old now, but he'll jump right in there.
Yeah, no, you got to train them from young. Unfortunately, I never ever saw sense in having a boat in Memphis. It didn't strike me as a good investment. When you own a boat, you got to use it, man. I'm sure most guys would agree with me. You got to get on it as much as you can. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a craft that's not just sitting in the dock or on a lift or on a trailer.
Yeah.
So especially down here, everything. Yeah, I mean, my bar is called Rusty's, and I'll leave it at that. It's everything turns bad down here except good conversation and cold beer.
Yeah.
So you got to use the boat, and so that's why we got one down here. So they're unsure of a boat. So
you bought a Vantage, right? East Cape.
Yes, I bought a yes, yeah. Kevin and them, good bunch of guys.
Oh, they're super.
It's a beautifully made boat, man. I mean, but in the States, I find it's hard to find a bad product, especially if it's done here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the States, there might be a little bit of an edge here and there on certain things, but for the most part, Americans, they're proud of their craft. They do good.
Make good stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah, not like from that other country. Don't get me started, man.
Yeah.
So and it mustn't just be assembled here; it must be built here, and that's what I appreciate. And when you see the boat, you understand, the craftsmanship and the quality. It's worth the buy. But there's some exceptional boats here. So blessed and spoiled. Yeah. So, yeah. It's and I think the boat it copes with what we have here. It's the skiff that I feel belongs in this particular environment right here. It's the Tampa Bay type environment,
Yeah, it's very good riding boat when it gets rough. So
yeah, no, it can punch some stuff down, man. So which is good. And like I say, it's not the wind that I'm concerned. I've been a seafaring guy for pretty much since I was young. Steve Baker and myself have been in some scary situations, man. He's a great captain. And we, as I say, we're hardcore. When we fish, we doing it. Doesn't matter about the weather. So to a point, you got to be wise about it. But when you're out there and you get caught in it, then that's a different story. You've got to have the fortitude and the knowledge to get through it. And I think it's never been about the wind or the waves. It's about other boat traffic, because it's a bit of a contest down here to see who's got the biggest and meanest boats. I mean, some of these boats have got like 4, 5, 6 engines on.
Yeah.
like 300s. I'm going, what are you doing with it? You know, it's like crazy.
200 grand worth of outboard motors.
Yeah, you're putting along with your little 19 foot with a 90 on it. It's yeah, and we got this one little piece that's called the miserable mile. It's just the section between the barge and when there's, you know, you enter into like a slow area, you know, idle speed area, and they can't help themselves. It's like they've got to gun it, you know. So it sounds like a drag race every time, you know.
Got two speeds.
Yeah. So, and if you can just, luckily my entrance is before that, so you know, and it's just a mile. And then the good thing is that within the on a weekday, it's quiet. Yeah, it's the weekends, man. Weekends is like a couple of party spots around here. That's scary. You know, you see people dying and drowning. You see like 15 people on a pontoon boat, and not one has got a life jacket on. Not one. And there's like 2-3-year-old kids on that damn thing.
Yeah.
And then they always question why. It's sad. But yeah, you'll only learn once.
That's true.
You're like,
that's true.
You know? Yeah. So yeah, it's all good, man. Yeah, the only thing I still got to do is bring down my fly tying. You see my fly tying from up there.
Oh man, I love it. I would move into that room.
I always tell people, I said, yeah, it's I put a lot of effort into it. I've got to get it down here. I've got a good spot for it down here.
Move your biltong box down.
Yes, got to bring the tong box. I got to bring all the stuff down here so I can start tying flies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's before we got disconnected. Like I say, I used to tie all these thousands of these tiny little flies, you know, for trout and all the fisheries to get back in South Africa. And the odd saltwater thing, you know, like I say, that was still the beginning stages. You know, we used to go down the coast loaded with like a Dawa rod and I don't know if you remember the old Martin M9Ds.
Oh, yeah.
I think we got those smoked by GTs, man. It was like, you know, and you'd save up with those things, you know. I was like, money was tough those days. You're young, you know. You spend most of the money on booze and girls and stuff. And then you buy this rod and reel, and the rod would get broken or the reel would get smoked, you know. And now you look at the products today, man. Yeah. I mean, you guys are selling what, Shortens?
Yeah, we're distributing those.
Unbelievable. Just a bulletproof reel, man.
It really is. Very utilitarian.
Yeah, that thing can punish fish, man.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Yeah. And like those things are, you know, the regrets of growing up, but at least we had fun, you know. We became quite good engineers.
We made it this far.
Yeah, a couple of bad knuckles on us and stuff like that. You know, yeah, but when you had those things, everyone said, oh, this is the real. Everyone thought you had the best of the best, but not so. Yeah, GTs don't care, and the saltwater fish in general don't care. You know? Right. I mean, I had that reel actually implode because of a catfish.
Really?
Yeah, our catfish are powerful, man. You know, you catch them in some fast flowing water. You know, mouse patterns on the top. Yeah, just. You know, and tiger fish, they'll smoke the old reels, they used to smoke them, man. You know, little osprey reels or whatever, they didn't last too long. So flugers. The mighty fluger.
Yeah.
The crappie reel. I call that the crappie reel. The Wally Marshall reel of the world.
They sounded good though.
Yes, they did. The click was good. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think I was fortunate growing up in the beginning stages of it, and and being part of all this new stuff, man. You know, all this new technology. Like the show that I was with you guys up there. You just walk around and all the products, man. It's just crazy.
So much fun to see how it grows every year.
Yeah, new stuff. Yeah, and every now and then there's that exceptional thing that comes out, you know. And it's a hit, man. So
Hell yeah.
how are the jacks? Are your jacks still up there in the harbor?
Yeah, I'm gonna go try for them this weekend.
Oh, serious, eh? What are you throwing for those, by the way?
Just that biggest double barrel popper we make, that 5/0.
Yeah, they're top, eh?
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, big time. They'll daisy chain, they'll get in big circles and just stay on top. And it's like you said, the jack will hit it. You throw a tennis ball out there and they'll fight to get it first. So, and ours are big. Absolutely. They're all 35 to 40 pounds. We don't have anything smaller than that.
Well, I saw Blaine's fish, man. That was a big fish, eh?
Yeah.
Was the new, is that a pending record or what?
I don't think so.
Not, eh? That was a long fish.
I think big fish just want their picture taken with Blaine.
Yeah,
just gravitate towards that dude,
isn't it?
It's freaky.
Well, he's a nice guy.
Oh man, he is one of the nicest industry guys we have.
Yeah, no, he's just such a cool cat. He really is. He's a pleasant individual, which is nice.
For sure.
Yeah. But hey, I'm ready, bro. Jacks. I'll travel far and wide for jacks. So.
Heck yeah,
they're one of my favorites, man.
Hopefully, I'll send you a picture.
This whole bay behind me, just explodes with them, man. Quarter of this whole bay just gets froth, just froths, mate.
Surprised there's anything left alive in there.
Hey, the mullet in here, there's just copious amount of mullet, man, and big. I'll tell you what I do have. This big sheephead.
Yeah. I don't eat many fish, but those are delicious.
Yeah. Well, I've got some heavyweights right here under the dock. So
thank you. Well, it was good catching up with you,
brother. Yeah, nice chatting. Yeah, and looking forward to seeing you at the next show.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try, man. I'm heading up end of this week. Drop Debbie off. Maybe I'll see what my agenda is. I got to get down here for the guys. Get back on my boat and start fishing.
Yeah, either on the way up or the way back down.
If I can take the scenic route, I'm taking it.
Do it.
Brother, send regards to Martin.
I'll do it. Let's keep in touch.
Keep doing what you guys do, man. You guys are some good stuff out there, man.
Do what we can.
All right, brother.
Take it easy. Thanks, Whit.
Bye.